I was born in Masisi, in the green heart of eastern Congo, where cows outnumbered cars and the hills rolled like sleeping giants. My father kept cattle. My mother farmed beans, cassava, and hope. We didn't have much, but our land fed us, and our cows sang to the earth with their bells. In the morning, I walked barefoot through dew-covered grass to gather the animals. In the evening, we sat around a fire, my sister plucking beans and my father polishing his radio with pride. My parents told me, as long as the land lives, we live too. We didn't know the land was already bleeding. I was 9 when the soldiers came. It started with strange noises in the forest, gunshots echoing like thunder without rain. Then came the rumors, militias raiding villages, fighting over mines, slaughtering cattle. We prayed it would pass us. It didn't. One night, they came down the hill, men in torn uniforms and red headbands. They shouted, kicked open doors, took what they wanted. They accused my father of being a Tutsi. He tried to explain, but they didn't care. They dragged him outside. My mother screamed until she collapsed. I ran behind a bush and watched them shoot him like a stray dog. They set fire to our home. My mother and baby brother were still inside. I never saw them again. In the chaos, my sister and I were separated. She ran in one direction, I in another. I didn't know if she had lived or died. Then we ran. We didn't know where to go. The neighbors were gone. The roads were traps. We followed others heading east, toward Rwanda. Before reaching the border, I faced things no child should endure. For days, I walked barefoot through thorny paths and muddy fields. My feet bled. My stomach screamed. Some nights, I slept under trees, hugging myself to keep warm. One afternoon, I was caught by a group of armed men, demanding to know where I was from. They beat me when I couldn't answer in their dialect. A woman in the group finally convinced them to let me go. She gave me a piece of dried cassava and whispered, "Run before they change their minds." I drank from puddles. I begged at lonely roadside huts. I saw other children taken away and never return. One boy named Gene stayed with me for a week before collapsing from exhaustion. I tried to wake him, but he wouldn't move. I kept walking. One evening, I reached a burnt village near the mountains. I was exhausted, barely able to stand. That's when I met Mzee Kalisa, an older man who was leading a group of 7, mostly women and children, trying to reach the Rwandan border. He looked at me, offered a sip from his water jug, and asked, "Are you alone?" I nodded. He didn't ask more. That night, they let me sleep beside their fire. He said, "Stay close. We move at night." Kalisa knew the forest paths, the soldiers' habits, and how to hide in silence. He had crossed that border before, he said, guiding others like us. We waited 3 days for the right moment. Rainy enough to cover our tracks, dark enough to move unseen. We crossed the border at night, guided by Kalisa's lantern and a voice that never looked back. The mountains were silent witnesses. I carried only my fear and a name that still meant something. In Rwanda, we were registered as refugees. They sent us to Kaijim camp, south of Kigali. They told us it was safe. It wasn't home, but it was not war. Kaijim was rows of tents and corrugated roofs, dirt paths and ration lines. Hope rationed too. I sat and stared at the fence, wondering if cows still grazed in Masisi. One day, I met a boy named Aben. He had one arm and said he lost the other to a soldier's fire, but he still smiled. "If we laugh," he told me, "they can't kill that." We played soccer with bottles. We stole mangoes and got chased. We told stories of flying away. Then he got sick. 3 days later, Aben was gone. No ceremony, no goodbye, just a hole in the dirt. Then, one humid afternoon, 3 years after Masisi, I saw a familiar face at the water station. It was my sister. We ran to each other and cried like the sky had opened. She had made it, too. Her journey was different, darker, but she had survived. We spent 4 years in the camp. Then one morning, a man from the resettlement office arrived. He wore a suit and spoke slow Kinyarwanda. He called my sister's name. Then he said mine, Emmanuel. Our resettlement request had been approved. The United States. I didn't believe it until the plane lifted above Kigali. I looked down and wondered if my father would have been proud. The other side of the sky. We landed in Texas. Everything was too bright, too loud, too strange. We were given blankets and apartments, and a caseworker named Sharon who smiled too much. But slowly we adapted. I went to school. I learned to say thank you and sorry and I'm okay, even when I wasn't. I met a boy named Lucas who showed me how to shoot basketballs and wear headphones. He never asked about the camp. My sister took nursing classes. At night, I still dreamed of gunfire and cows running wild through smoke. But in the morning, I heard birds, becoming whole again. Now I am 47. I have a wife, 2 beautiful daughters, a spirited son, and even a grandson who calls me Babu and climbs all over me like I'm a mountain. My sister is a nurse now. She has a kind husband and a son who dreams of becoming a doctor. I volunteer at the same resettlement office that once welcomed us. I help translate Swahili and teach new boys how to use the bus. I once wanted to study engineering. Life had other plans, but I built something better, a home, a real one. Sometimes I sit alone and look up at the sky. It's the same sky that hung over Masisi, but now it doesn't watch me run. It watches me grow. If Emmanuel's story moved you, if you felt the pain of loss, the hope and reunion, and the triumph of survival, then please subscribe to our channel to follow more powerful journeys like his. Like this video to show love for the millions who are still walking towards safety. Comment below what part of Emmanuel's journey touched you the most. We read every word. Share this story, not just for views, but for voices that still go unheard. Your share could spark empathy where it's needed most.